All right, Brendan Taylor here, True School Sports. I'm with the man himself, Sean Zattel of FightHype.com, one of the best in the business and a great friend of mine and a friend of the channel. What's up, Sean?
What's going on, Brendan? Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, it's a pleasure, man. It's been what four years since I interviewed you when
That's
you
right.
you got in your house.
That's right. And I actually, despite me not coming off the best for certain reasons, if you go back and watch, you might be able to figure it out. I actually got a lot of stuff right in that interview, thankfully. So I hope to do the same this time.
Well, hopefully, man. Yeah. And we're just gonna get right into it, man. We're here in Texas at the Canelo Saunders fight week. It's fight night. All talking is done. So, like, from your perspective, what do you make of Canelo Saunders in the matchup?
Well, for one, props to these guys they made a all-time boxing record for indoor attendance, which is incredible. I think that says people were hungry to come back and watch the sport after a pandemic and yada 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 blah blah blah, all that boring stuff. But seriously, that's impressive. And it turns out Canelo really has hit the mainstream and is a big star. But the fight, it's interesting because Canelo hasn't fought anybody that we think can beat him since Jacobs. Kovalev was a good fight, but I didn't know a whole lot of people picking Kovalev. That was a really good win for Canelo to put on the resume against a guy who's is going to go down in the hall of the very good in Kovalev. But this fight is interesting because of the style that Saunders presents. We haven't seen Canelo have to face a guy with movement who can punch on the move and make you reset. As you said, make you have to reset your feet before you punch, since Lara and Khan. And both of those guys had success in winning rounds against Canelo, even though we went back and watched Canelo Lara, and a lot of the work Canelo did in that fight was underrated. It was clear that Canelo's body shots and the punches he were landing had a lot more effect on Lara, who was landing clean shots up top, but always off the back foot and not planting while going backwards. Of course, you fight off the back foot like so many of the best fighters that ever lived did, but those guys knew how to plant and then fire and then go back to getting off the foot. Lara was at times throwing get off me punches. Yeah. And going back and watching Canelo's punches had a great effect. But that said, Lara won a number of rounds. I thought that fight was a draw when I first saw it. I have to go back and watch it again. Khan, I thought live, was up 3-2, maybe 4-1. And then he gets knocked out with the one right hand. So you wonder if Saunders could do the same thing. But ultimately tonight, by the time people watch this, the fight's going to be over. So I think Canelo will have won. Yeah. I expect him to have won a decision. Okay. I know he's going to go to the body early and look to slow down Saunders' legs and then finish him up top to the head with his combinations, bring the combinations from the body to the head. I don't think he'll quite have gotten him out of there. Won't be surprised if he got him out of there late. But I think Saunders will have won a few rounds early and given him some problems early for the same reasons that those guys gave him problems. But Canelo's better now, and he knows how to deal with that style. And so we move on to what's coming in the future. Yeah. And, Caleb Plant's a good fight. Caleb Plant didn't look the best against Caleb Truax, but inactivity and not being as motivated will do that. And we're saying that while he won every round. Like, he really only got hit with, one uppercut in that fight along the ropes in the 6th or 7th round.
He just lacked that extra bit of sharpness that we're used to when we watch Caleb Plant fight.
Right, like against Vincent Feigenbutz and Mike Lee, who people would say are
nobody's
punching bags, right? But me and you go on the punching bag compared to Caleb Plant, we're not going to look the same. No. That's where the eye test comes into play, where you're just watching what this guy is doing and what his speed and sharpness and skills look like. And if you look at Caleb Plant at his best, he's incredibly sharp, and he's a good combination puncher. He's a really good combination puncher, and he's athletic. But what always stands out to me about Caleb is he's just sharp, like Billy Joe Saunders tonight. He's a good boxer, but he's nowhere near as sharp as Caleb Plant. I think you could argue he's trickier than Caleb Plant. He's definitely more awkward than Caleb Plant. Yeah. He's more of a... Caleb has a great jab, but Billy throwing his jab from the southpaw stance and circling to his right as he throws it, it's a very awkward and good angle from that southpaw.
And the feet can get tangled and all that stuff.
Right. He gets that foot to the outside. But that said, Caleb has a beautiful up jab. He can jab to set up combinations, and he's been shit on a little bit following the Uzcategui fight. And I know Uzcategui lost to Lonnie B. Thompson, but I just think he stands a really good chance because his sharpness is right there with Canelo. You know, the punches come out not like perfect form, perfect technique. So I like that fight. And Caleb's a natural super middleweight. People talk about he fades down the stretch of fights, but if he is as sharp 1 through 12, I think that's a big fight. And Caleb, you know, is a potential star. He does have star quality.
He does.
And
The whole story with his daughter that a lot of people can resonate with.
Yeah, and he doesn't mind talking shit to sell a fight,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how he is. And he has boldness, but you know, obviously we all know Caleb's a white guy that's a white American fighter that fights in a sport dominated for decades now by Latino and Black American fighters. So I like to joke around with him, like, you know, don't count him out. He might be 8 Mile. He might be that one, you know, like Eminem. You know, like he might be that one guy that can really, you know, hold his own with the best. And that's not getting, you know, silly to be racial stuff. I'm just trying to be funny.
Yeah,
you know,
sense of humor.
Yeah, you know, like when he comes out, you know, when you see Caleb Plant, you might, I don't know, man, you might gotta start hearing doom, doom, dun, 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 you know, lose yourself.
The whole 8 Mile.
Yeah, you know, but I just say that to say, you know, he's good. He's very good, and I give him a real chance against Canelo, even though if I could pick 2 fights for Canelo to be in, it'd be David Benavidez and Jamal Charlo. You know, those are the 2 fights I want to see more than any other. I know you want to see Demetrius Andrade.
Of course. But I wanted to ask you because you know, we had the fight tonight with Billy Joe. Caleb Plant's probably next in line. I know what your answer is, but I wanted you to tell me which one do you think is the better fight, Billy Joe versus Canelo or Caleb Plant versus Canelo?
Oh, I think Caleb Plant versus Canelo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you know, Billy Joe, you know, he's got a more awkward style and that presents problems. But I just think Caleb Plant's a better fighter than Billy Joe. I think if they fought head to head, he'd beat him. I think he's a better combination puncher. I think he's more active. I think he's sharper. I think he's a more natural super middleweight. You know, I think he's got a much better work ethic, or at least much more consistent work ethic.
Yeah, I agree with that.
He's in great shape. The guy's got an 8-pack 12 months out of the year. You know, his wife's in great shape. Like she's a former athlete. Yeah, she's a former track star at UNLV. So
shout out to Jordan Plant. Yeah.
Yeah, so they work out like every day together and eat healthy food every day. And you know, I've never seen him drunk at a fight or nothing. So
discipline.
He's very disciplined.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and yeah, give him a real shot against Canelo. I don't know if I'm picking him to beat him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if I give him the best shot in the division. You know, that might go to David Benavidez, but it's a fight. It's a fight. You know, and it's funny. There's these, when it's superstars like Canelo, you tell yourself like, okay, you know, he's fighting Callum Smith, fight Billy Joe, and then his fight day is here. You get so excited, and we're so much more excited for this fight than we were Callum Smith.
Oh my God!
Because even the chances going from 5% to 15, maybe 20%, is the excitement level just jumps.
Yeah.
So when Caleb Plant fights, to me, it's going to go from 15, 20% to, you know, 30-ish, you know, and upward maybe. You know, I don't want to put a number on it, but it's going to go it's definitely going to go a little higher. So that excitement's going to be a little bigger. So, yeah, I definitely think Caleb is a better fighter at 168 than Billy Joe Saunders.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I had a chance to talk to a lot of these Canelo fans, and you know, they all had recited the same talking points. You know, who can beat Canelo? Canelo's unbeatable.
Again, just one more thing with Caleb Plant.
Go ahead.
For anyone who says he's overrating him or blah 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 blah, just simply look, just simply look at how sharp he is. That's it. Just look at how sharp he is. Just go back, the speed and the technique, and how sharp each shot comes out. Nothing sloppy. That's it. Just go back. You know, I understand level of opposition, whatever, but just that's it. Go back and look at how sharp he is in his high.